Welcome back to the rest of the story. Everybody take note the fact that this tractor tire is moving. What Ryan and I are currently working on, this is a pretty important job that you should do. It's a preventative maintenance and making sure that you have the proper amount of oil in your front hubs. That in the center of that hub, you can see there's a line. My hand's blocking it right now. What you're supposed to do is turn the tire until that is level with the ground. And then what I'm trying to do is, I couldn't get my finger in past the sun gear. But what I'm trying to do is check to see how much oil is in it. Now, typically, we'd go through and I tried to use this light too. See, you guys couldn't really see in. Typically, I check these twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall, respectively before we get into the planting or into the harvest season, before we get to using it really heavy. The 7600 went from being used 200 hours a year up to 600 plus when Grandpa, back in 2014. The 7600 turned into the main chore workhorse. It cuts hay, it rakes hay. There's a dog. It pretty much is the go-to tractor when it comes to any monotonous field work. It cuts stalks. This summer, we've talked the other day about leaving the duals on the 4640 all summer long, mainly because for the farm day this year, Dad wants to keep the duals on it because people were asking us why we didn't last year. So anybody that wants to see the 46 with the duals on it this year, I guess that's something to look forward to. But honestly, for the hay that we have like right around 50 acres of hay. The 76 and the 4020 can handle it. What will probably end up happening is the 76 will end up on the disc bind, of course. The 4020 will be used on the tedder, and more than likely the Rhino hay rake. That usually ended up on the 76 or the 46 last year. There's no reason that we can't put it on the 4020, and we're going to prove that this spring. It doesn't require, let me rephrase that. That Rhino rake has 3 SCVs on it, or a need for a tractor with 3 hydraulic control valves. But you can get away from that if you adjust your rear width of the rake beforehand, or with a different tractor, or with the tractor, but then you change your hydraulics back out. You do not need to adjust the width of the back of the rake throughout the day. Generally, once you set it in the morning, you typically don't readjust it. Now, depending on what you're doing, I can see some people want the widths a little different, depending on if they're baling or chopping. Chopping, I would say push it up tight, get as tight as narrow of a windrow as you can of hay. But when you're going to round bale, myself, I preferred it last year when we left the rake kind of spread out, and that way the windrow took up the whole width of the pickup of the baler. It reduced the amount that I had to go back and forth, swing back and forth to get a level bale. But you guys are wondering what we're doing right now. I'm walking around trying to find the jug of oil. I thought we had some, but I kept it in the back of my mind that it was over behind the gator. Well, as it turns out, it was actually back behind Ryan there. I just couldn't see it. I'm getting oil gloves on. But yes, I'm pretty much expecting the 4020 is going to be on that hay rake. There's no reason we couldn't put the 46 with the duals on it, and we might. I think we did it once last year. But the 4020, less horsepower, less fuel consumption, and we can use the 76 for round baling. Now, as far as that round baler goes, I've never really talked to anybody about it, or maybe I've never really mentioned it, but that round baler can be run by all of our tractors. A few years ago, a year after we got it, I did some looking into the gearbox on that round baler, and it is interchangeable. We got that baler. It was set up to run a 540 power takeoff shaft. I went through, and it really didn't cost that much, but the gearbox that sits on the tongue is interchangeable. If you flip that around, you can run a 1,000 power takeoff shaft on the PTO, and that'll, it levels out, because then on the other side of the gearbox it slows the baler down, so you're able to run a faster PTO speed, but still running the baler no faster than what you were running 540. The reason we did that is because we wanted to have a little bit more diversity. If anything, heaven forbid, ever happens to any of our tractors, like the 76, the 4020, the 46, and we do have to bale with any of the other tractors that we can. The 76, myself, it's my favorite all-around tractor. Don't get me wrong, the 82, as far as operator comfort and running 16, 20, 38 hour, what was it, 38? No, 28 hour days last fall. The 82 wins that without a doubt. But my 7600 is really versatile for what it is, and I'd have a hard time really looking at wanting to get rid of it ever. Now what I'm going to do here, look quick because I don't think you can really get a good shot of it. I don't really have a whole lot of oil in that container. I just cleaned out all the old oil that was in it, and I just, without really being able to know how much was in the tire, it took me 2 tries to get this done right. But we didn't really lose, I didn't lose a whole lot of oil out of it, just when I got it full and it started to drain back out. One way that you could find how much oil is in it is I could have opened it up when the hole was, the plug hole was towards the top of the tire, and Ryan could have just backed up until oil started to run out. I mean, that is an option, but I was playing for the parking level where it should be, and the oil should be pretty close to where it's supposed to be. We do check this twice a year, and typically I usually have to fill it at least once a year. So hopefully this is the last time I'm going to have to fill this year. But I will end up checking it this fall. And depending how much I use it throughout the spring, I'll check it again before we get into hay work, cutting brush, and everything else like that. You can tell it was kind of rainy and wet out. The dog's steaming. But yes, I hope everybody is enjoying their Monday, has enjoyed their Monday. This weather, I'm hoping, will start to straighten out. Somebody asked me a couple days ago about being able to plant April 14th. The insurance date, I believe, is like the 11th or the 14th, but you also got to have some common sense and realize you're not going to go out and start planting in the snowdrifts. So that's what it really boils down to. It's not a set date that you can't say in January, I'm going to be planting April 14th. That's not how farming works, at least in this area of the country. For us, it's wait until the ground is permitting, and then we're going to run. Granted, the later we get into the spring, and then, if we start looking like it's going to be the second week of May before we can get anything started, we're going to be doing some pretty long days, because ideally May 1st, I would really like to see something in the ground by May 1st. 7 to 10 days is usually what it takes us to get all of our corn and soybeans in the ground, which is kind of a bummer because I like planting season. I probably do prefer planting over harvest myself. And the problem is when you're rushing like that, you really can't enjoy it too much. But this is all I had for this video, guys, because it's going to cut off here. But just the same thing on this other side. Wash, rinse, and repeat. See, he's going to back it up, and the plug is level. And yeah, I didn't get it. So until next time, tomorrow night, take care, take it easy, keep in touch, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.